Welcome to the Old World First Impressions / Review series, where I'm going to upload about 3 videos a week, just going over the armies of the Old World. Now, most, if not all, the videos at the time you watch this are actually uploaded already behind my members only wall. So if you are impatient and you want to see another video now, and you don't want to wait for the next one to come out on YouTube here, just go ahead and click on the playlist, see if the one you want is already available. Most of them are there, and real soon they'll all be there. Click on that and join the channel when you watch it right now. Otherwise, let's get into the review. Going over the lores of magic in the Old World new book. There's 8 lores of magic in here. For the full rules on how to deal with magic, I've already covered that in the first impressions of the core rules book. So this is just gonna focus on the spells, maybe a little bit about the magic items when we get to the end. But in the 8 lores of magic in the Old World, it's not what we're used to. We got battle magic, demonology, dark magic, elementalism, high magic, illusion, necromancy, and Waaagh magic. The orc magic is in here. Okay. So, as we said before, magic is heavily toned down, which heavily excites me. But I also have played I've recorded one battle report at the time I'm sitting down to record this video, but I have had a couple of practice games under my belt at this point. And I want to keep this in mind as we talk about magic. I played a game with the Slan, the Lizardman, and not recorded. This is off camera. And early in the game, I'm like, oh, I'm paying a lot of points for this wizard that isn't the wizard it used to be. Doesn't really carry his weight anymore. But by the end of the game, I was like, oh, okay. Magic is still a very useful tool. So keep that in mind as we talk about all these spells and point out how heavily toned down they are to things we've seen in the past. So we're starting with battle magic. 6 spells plus the signature spell. The signature spell is Hammerhand. It's an assailant, so you cast that when you're in combat on a 7 to cast, so relatively easy to cast. A single enemy unit that the casters engage with will suffer 2d3 strength 4 hits at AP 2. It's pretty good. That's actually pretty good. If you want your wizard in combat, which nobody ever really does, but sometimes they end up there. So you can swap off any one of your spells for that spell, that signature spell, or one from your lore. Like, for example, the Bretonians have the lore of the lady. There are 3 signature spells. They can swap one of their spells here for the lore of the lady or Hammerhand. So the first spell in battle magic is Fireball. It's a magic missile with a casting value of 8, 24-inch range, and the target unit suffers 2d6 strength 4 hits with AP of nothing and a flaming attack special roll. So right off the bat, this is actually a pretty good spell. A lot of automatic hits. Strength 4 is pretty good. No AP, but whatever. But that's actually a pretty useful spell when you compare it to all the spells that's happening in this book. Also, there is a magic item in this book, a common magic item, which is the Ruby Ring of Ruin. It actually casts this spell, so I feel like when we get to the magic items, if we talk about those, that Ruby Ring of Ruin has the potential of being like the auto-include magic item that we see in every list, because 2d6 strength 4 automatic hits are really, really good. Okay, we have Curse of Arrow Attraction. It's a hex spell. Casting value of 7 and the range of 21. Until the start of turn subphase, you may reroll any hit rolls of 1 when shooting at the target enemy unit with the spell. So that used to be full rerolls as a high magic spell from, like, I think 7th edition? Maybe 7th and 6th edition? Heavily toned down. If you have a lot of shooting in your list, you might make some use out of this. That one is not that interesting to me. If it was full rerolls, it'd be really, really good, obviously. But just rerolling ones. If I have it, I'll cast it, but I'm not going to try to get this spell. All right, then we got the Pillar of Fire. So it is a casting value 9 with the Magical Vortex, so not that hard to cast because you add your Wizard modifier. We're going to see a lot of level 4 Wizards, so usually give you +4 to cast your spells. So casting value 9 with a range of 12, which means it's a small blast. You have to place the small hole within 12 inches of the caster. Now, Magical Vortexes, as powerful they were previously, they're not as powerful now, so they may not be placed while touching an enemy model, or any model actually. So you can't hit anybody with it at the beginning. And then it will remains in play spell, so it just stays there. On the start of the turn subphase, it will randomly scatter d6 inches. So every player's turn going forward, it will scatter unless dispelled. So you get to cast it once, place it out there, and then hope it scatters into your opponent to hit them to do some damage. But it does more than that. So what else it does is the template is treated like dangerous terrain. It's a pillar of fire. And any unit, friend or foe, the moving template touches suffers D3 plus 3 strength 3 hits with AP of 2. So not high strength, but AP 2. So 12-inch range, 9 to cast, put it within 12. Your opponent has a chance to dispel it. They don't, it's sitting there. At the start of the next turn, it's going to move randomly D6 inches, hopefully into your opponent, but, you know, it can scatter away from them, do some damage, and then they have a chance to dispel it themselves as it remains in play. They dispel it in the conjuration subphase of their turn. So they have another chance to dispel it if it ends up where they don't want it. But yeah, the first time you cast it, it's not going to do any damage. But it is, you know, a pillar in the way, hopefully, slowing them down with dangerous terrain. So as a spell I will use often if my opponent gets within 12. We have Arcane Urgency. It's a conveyance spell, so a spell you use in your movement phase. Casting value 10, so it's getting up there. It's only range of 15. If the target friendly unit is not fleeing and has already moved during the movement phase, it may immediately move again. I love that spell. So in the Battle Magic we have, what was this spell in previous editions? It was Walk Between Worlds. It was a high magic spell. There's 2 spells in here that we've seen a variation in high magic in the past. So long as you cast it, hit a friendly unit within 15, so long as they didn't rally this turn, they're not fleeing. If the target friendly unit is not fleeing and has already moved. Yeah, so they have to have already moved. Okay, so as long as they're not fleeing, you can have your unit move again. That's the type of spell that's like amongst my favorite things. Like, I love movement spells. We have Oaken Shield for number 5. It's an enchantment, so you cast it at the start of your turn. Casting value 7, relatively easy to cast. It targets self until the next start of turn subphase. The wording I don't like, but it makes sense. Until the next start of turn subphase, your next start of turn subphase, because your opponent has one as well. The caster and any unit they have joined has a 5-up ward against any wounds suffered. Oh, so good. So easy to cast. Your wizard and your unit will have a 5-up ward save until your next turn. Love that spell. Curse of Cowardly Flight is the number 6 spell. It is a hex with a casting value of 9. It's got a range of 15. The target enemy unit must immediately make a panic test. If the target unit automatically passes panic tests, it must still make this test, and should it fail, it will give ground. So give ground is move back 2 inches. It's a 9 to cast. It's a hex spell, so it means you still have to have it in your the enemy has to be in your front arc, your line of sight arc. It doesn't have to be in line of sight, but 15-inch range. They immediately make a panic test. If they panic, they're gonna run away, but have to take the test even if they automatically pass panic. Now I gotta check panic actually, because I believe if you panic, you only give ground unless you're below 50% of your models. Let's go to the back of the book. Panic, just page 160. Let's see how good this spell really is. I'm suspecting not the best because of the way it's going to work. Okay, so if you panic and you're above half strength, you just give ground. So you're going to push it back 2 inches. Not terrible, but if they're below half strength, they're going to do a actual flee. So it's better if a unit's already kind of whittled down. Oh, Curse of Cowardly Flight, so that makes sense. All right, so Battle Magic is a lore I will probably use often. I'm not overly happy that the signature is an Assailment, a spell that you cast in close combat, but maybe I find that everybody's in combat quite often, so maybe it's going to be awesome. Either way, Battle Magic I have no beef with. Demonology. The signature spell is called The Summoning. It's a magic missile, casting value of 9, range 18. Ooh, this is good. The target enemy unit suffers 2d6 strength 4 hits with AP 1. -1 to your save. That's really good. That's really good. Only range 18, but still a really good spell. We have a Steed of Shadows. We've seen this in previous editions. It's a conveyance spell. Cast the Moon Phase, casting value 9. The spell targets a friendly, can only target friendly models who have the troop type infantry. And if the target friendly unit is not fleeing and has already moved during this movement phase, it is not already moved. It gains fly 12 until the start of your next turn. So you have to cast it before you move. You have to be infantry. You get fly 12. Number 2 is Gathering Darkness. It's a hex spell with casting value of 9 and a range of 12. Another short range one. Until the next start of turn subphase, the target enemy unit suffers a -2 modifier to its initiative characteristic. I love that. A -2 modifier to their leadership characteristic. I love that. And cannot use their general's inspiring presence special rule. This spell may target enemy unit engaged in combat. So typically, hexes can't target things in combat. And neither can enchantments, but a lot of these spells in here will say can target things in combat. So casting value 9, only 12-inch range. -2 initiative, -2 leadership. That's going to be really good. Demonic Familiars is a settlement with a casting value 8, so use it in combat. A single enemy unit the caster is engaged in combat with suffers 2d6 strength 2 hits, with no armor saves permitted. Ward and regeneration are allowed. That's not a bad spell. That's actually not bad at all. Demonic Vessel, an enchantment, casting value of 10, range of self. Until the end of this turn, the caster, their mount, and any unit they have joined gain a +1 modifier to their strength and attacks to a maximum of 10, and improve their armor-piercing characteristic of their weapons by 1. Wow, that's a buff spell. +1 strength, +1 attack, AP. Maybe you also got Gathering Darkness on somebody. Oh, that's winning combat. Vortex of Chaos is a magical vortex with a casting value of 8 with a range of 15. Remains in play, small blast, 3-inch circle. Must place within 15 of the caster. While in play, the template is treated like dangerous terrain. The template moves d6 in the right direction at the start of every turn subphase. Any unit, friend or foe, any unit, friend or foe, the moving template touches or moves over suffers d6 +1, strength 3 hits with no AP. So it's relatively easy to cast. It is terrain moving around, doing piddly damage, and causing dangerous terrain. So maybe it can protect you by block you with block a charge, having them charge through dangerous terrain or something. Demonic Vigor, enchantment, casting value of 9, range of 15. Until the end of this turn, the target friendly unit gains a +1 modifier to its movement, toughness, initiative, and initiative characteristic to a maximum of 10. So it's an enchantment. So you cast that to start your turn. So that'll be before declaring charges and stuff. Dang. Yeah, so a nice little combo here. If you want to get like a powerful character joining a unit that's like a fighting unit, so you want 3 spells: Demonic Vessel, Gathering Darkness, Demonic Vigor. So you cast Demonic Vigor on yourself, get yourself some extra speed and toughness and initiative. You cast Demonic Vessel on yourself and your unit and gain +1 modifier to your strength and attacks and better armor piercing, 2 massive buffs. And then Gathering Darkness, you give your opponent -2 initiative and leadership. Go in, you're going to win that combat. Ooh, I love Demonology. It'll be awesome to find out who can use Demonology. Stay tuned or if you haven't already watched the reviews where we talk about all the armies, pay attention to the wizards that can take Demonology. I think we can pretty much guess who that'll be at this point, right? Don't expect any Bretonnian damsels taking Demonology or being able to. Next, we got Dark Magic. The signature spell is Doombolt. It's actually closer to the Doombolt in the video game Total War than the Doombolt we've seen over the years. Doombolt is a magic missile with casting value 8 and a 24-inch range. Place a small blast so the center hole is directly over the center of the target enemy unit. Any enemy model whose base lies beneath the template risks being hit and takes a strength 3 hit with AP of 2. Not a bad signature. On your typical 20 model unit that is on a 25 mil square base, there'll be 2 automatic hits and 10 more hits on a 4+. more often than not. Strength 3, AP 2. That's a pretty good signature spell. We got Word of Pain. It's a hex spell, the casting value of 10, 18 inch range. Until the start of your turn, the enemy suffers a -1 modifier to strength and toughness characteristics to a minimum of 1. This spell may target enemy unit engaged in close combat. All right, 2 spells I love. Stream of Corruption, Assailment, casting value 8, casting combat obviously. Place the flame template so the narrow end touches the caster's base and the broad end is over the unit they are engaged in combat with. Any model, friend or foe, who lies beneath the template risks being hit and suffering a strength 3 hit with AP 1. How many hits do we think we're going to get with that? We're probably going to get a good number of automatic hits. Everybody else will be hit on 4+ who are partially covered. That's actually not a bad spell at all. It's only strength 3. But if you need, if you need to lower their toughness, you get Word of Pain, but you can't cast Word of Pain if you're engaged in combat. So hopefully they've already been Word of Pained. Air quote that, make it a verb. Hopefully they've been Word of Pained before you cast Stream of Corruption with your Assailment. All right, I like all 3 of these spells so far. I'll go to number 3 spell, Infernal Gateway. It's a Conveyance with the casting value of 10, range of 12. This spell can only target friendly characters, but may target characters engaged in combat. If the target friendly character is not fleeing, you may immediately remove it from the battlefield and place it anywhere within 12 of its original location, but not within 6 of enemy models. Wow, getting a character out of combat. Not bad. Phantasmagoria. It's a magical vortex with a casting value of 9. It is a 12-inch range spell. Remains in play. Small blast, 3 inches. Place the small hole within 12. I'm not going to say that no more. I'm not going to repeat that every time. That's what they all are. The template doesn't move. It's treated like dangerous terrain. Oh, so this one never moves. Okay. Enemy units that end their movement within 12 of this template must immediately make a panic test. Those that fail will fall back in good order or flee directly away from the template. Those that pass or do not have to make the test become subject to the impetuous special rule while they're within 12 of the template. So that's okay. So remind you what impetuous is. It's a 50-50. If you don't want to charge, you have to roll a die. 50-50 you have to charge if something's in range. Okay, I love every spell on Dark Magic so far. Next we got Battle Lust. Okay, it's an enchantment. You cast it, start your turn basically. Casting value 9 with a range of 12. You target one of your own units. The unit gains Frenzy and Hatred. I like that in this edition because you can control it. Well, you can control when you turn it on. Okay, I'm liking Dark Magic. A lot of my armies probably won't be able to take it. Soul Eater. Assailment, casting value 7, it's range combat. A single enemy model the caster is engaged in combat with suffers a single strength 3 hit with the multiple wounds 3 special rule with no armor saves permitted. Ward and regeneration may attempt it as normal. I love Dark Magic. Okay. I love Demonology. I love Battle Magic. So we went through 3 of these already, and you kind of see there's no big, every model in the unit must take an initiative test or be removed from play. That's gone. There's no big vortex moving across a unit, and every model touched by a template must take an initiative test or be removed from play. None of that. 3 lores, lots of spells, buffs, debuffs, a little bit of damage. It's a tool, not a thing that's going to win you the game. Well, it could win you the game, but not a thing that's going to dominate your opponent. Like these magic missiles tend to be about 24-inch range. Everything else, these vortexes are 12 to 15 so far. Pretty tight and close. Now, next is Elementalism. It's a lore I've used a couple of times. I actually really like this one. The signature spell is called Storm's Call. It's a hex with a casting value of 7, range of 12. Until your next start of turn subphase, the target enemy unit suffers -1 to its movement and initiative characteristics. If this spell is cast, the effects of any other previous hex cast on the unit expire. So the signature is just slow down your enemy. It's not one that I kind of always want to use, but maybe we find out later on this spell is actually awesome. Actually, reducing movement just by 1. can really make a charge fail or even unchargeable. Spell number 1 is Flaming Sword. It's an assailant, casting combat, casting value 8. A single enemy unit the caster is engaged in combat with suffers D3 plus 1 strength 3 hits that have the flaming attack special rule. Unfortunately, flaming attacks isn't, so far it's been very lackluster and not all that interesting. The next spell, I love this spell. It's helped me win so many fights. Plague of Rust. It's a hex with a casting value of 9 and a range of 21. Until the next start of turn subphase, the target enemy suffers -2 to their armor. This spell may be cast on units engaged in close combat, or else, that'd be kind of almost useless. Yeah, so Plague of Rust, love it. Summon Elemental Spirit. It's a magical vortex, casting value 9, 15-inch range. Remains in play. Small blast, 3-inch template. The holes with 15, it's treated like dangerous terrain, and no line of sight can be drawn over it. The template moves D6 in a random direction at every start of turn subphase. Any enemy unit the template touches or moves over takes D3 plus 3 strength 4 hits with AP of 1. Not bad at all. I like that one because it blocks line of sight. So if it's not dispelled, it's going to block charges, shooting. It's just, I love blocking my opponent's line of sight. Another one, which when I first rolled it, or first drew the card from the cards for these, I thought it wasn't that great because all the restrictions ended up being really good. It's called Earthen Ramparts. It's an enchantment with a casting value of 10. It's up there, but not that bad. Range of 15. Until your next start of turn subphase, the target friendly unit gets a 5 aboard save against any wounds suffered and count as being behind a defended low linear obstacle if charged. Makes the unit super defensible. However, while this spell is in play, the unit that has the buff on them can't march and can't charge. So you can't buff it on your unit and have them charge into combat. Can't do it. It's a defensive spell. So I was playing like an off-camera lizardman type game, or a lizardman versus dwarf type game, and I'm like, I need to charge these dwarves. I'm like, I'll never be able to cast this spell. I actually ended up using it quite a bit. I found that with my superior movement with 4 over the dwarven 3, I wanted to get multiple units ready to charge one of these dwarven units. So I didn't need to march to like get a little bit close. So if I marched, I would have got into potential charge range of the dwarves with my lizardmen. So I didn't want to go that far. I wanted to like get a couple of units posturing up. I was able to buff a Temple Guard unit so that when they got shot at, they had a nice ward save and the little obstacle. So I found that my first reading of it was like, I'm never going to cast this. I want to be aggressive. But when you're doing that little Warhammer Fantasy posturing, moving, getting a unit around the side, you don't have to always march. So I think it's actually a pretty decent spell. And a defensive army, it's going to be a really good spell, obviously. Probably my favorite spell that I have played around with so far is next. It's called Wind Blast. It's a magic missile, casting value 8, but only a range of 15, so it's a shorter range one. But it does D3 plus 3 strength 5 hits at AP 1, so good damage. But more importantly, once these hits have been resolved, the unit must give ground. It's moved 2 inches. So I had a model with fly 8. Oh, it was my slant again. Now you can't march and cast spells, so I was able to fly 8 and push units around with this quite often. So I think damn good spell. And then number 6 for Elementalism is the Travel Magical Pathway. Conveyance with the casting value of 10 and a range of 9. The target friendly unit, if a target friendly unit is not fleeing and has not already moved during the movement phase, you may immediately remove from the battlefield and place it anywhere within 12 of its original location, but not within 6 inches of enemy models. The target friendly unit cannot move again during the movement phase. A little more situational, but it can get you out of dodge. So it's like that character we read about earlier. You take a unit within 9 inches of this wizard, take them off the table, put them back down within 12 inches of their original location, but not within 6 inches of enemy models. They can't move again. Really good. I can definitely see playing a game and having this spell but never casting it. And then plenty of times I'm like, I wish I really had Travel Mystical Pathway right in this particular moment. So yeah, movement spells are situational, but in my opinion, very, very good. So I love Elementalism. Next, we got High Magic. The signature spell is Drain Magic. It's a hex with a casting value of 9. Range itself, it remains in play. While this spell is in play, enemy wizards that are within 24 of the caster's model, the caster model, may attempt. I'm gonna read that again because I'm reading too fast. Wizards that are within 24 of the caster's model, when attempting to cast a spell, must increase the spell's casting value by 2. So, while you're within 24 inches of the high wizard that has cast this spell, your casting values are +2. That's actually very decent if your opponent is bringing wizards, right? You notice I don't like the way things are worded. It's clear as day what this does, but the words are Games Workshop-y. Walk Between Worlds is the #1 spell, the first spell in this lore. It is a conveyance with a casting value of 10, range of self. Until your next start of turn subphase, the caster and any unit they have joined gain ethereal and reserve move special rules. So ethereal, you need magic to hurt them. That's so good. What am I? Why? I feel like I'm missing something. That's too good. Until your next start of turn subphase, the caster and the unit they have joined gain ethereal. Wow. Okay. And reserve move. So reserve move is, you see it a lot in FastCap. If you haven't declared a charge and you haven't marched, at the end of the shooting phase, you may make a full move, a regular move. You can't march. Wow. Okay. I love that spell. All right. #2, Fiery Convocation, magic missile with casting value of 10, up there. Range of 18. Place the large 5-inch blast template so that the central hole is directly over the center of the target enemy unit. Once placed, the template will scatter D3 + 1. Any model whose base lies underneath the template's final position. I'm gonna start over again because I can't stay in the way for these words. Also, I can't speak apparently. Large blast. Magic missile, so you get to hit a unit with it, place it over the center of the unit, it scatters D3 + 1. Any enemy model whose base lies underneath the template's final position risks being hit. And suffers a strength 4 with an AP of 2 and have flaming attacks. So large blast, strength 4, AP 2. But it will scatter D3 + 1. So it's going to scatter at least 2 inches. It's going to do a little bit of damage. #3 is Tempest. It's a magical vortex, casting value 9, range of 12, 3-inch blast, hole within 12. This one does not move and is treated as dangerous terrain. While within 6 of this template, enemy units treat open ground as difficult and difficult terrain as dangerous terrain. Ooh. It's only range 12 though. These type of games are typically won or lost in the movement phase. Anything you can do to really slow down or affect your opponent's movement phase is typically really, really good. I'm going to have to play around with this spell. I'm actually... Okay. All right. Next we have Corporeal Unmaking. It's an assailment, casting value 8, cast in combat, obviously. A single enemy unit the caster is engaged in combat with suffers a D3 strength 5 hits with no armor or regeneration. Excuse me. No armor, nor regeneration saves permitted. But you may do ward. D3 strength 5 hits. It's only D3. It's not bad though. No regeneration, no armor, but you're allowed to have ward. It's only D3. Ah, man, I wish it was D3 + 1. I would love this spell if it was just D3 + 1. Because D3 is going to be 1 whenever you need it, you know, right? Fury of Cain is an enchantment with casting value of 9, range of 12. Until the end of this turn, the target friendly unit gains the extra attacks 1 special rule. This spell may target a friendly unit engaged in combat. Just +1 attack. Casting value 9 and +1 attack. What was that other one? +1 attack. I feel like it was lower. Is it Demonology? Is extra attacks a different rule than +1 attack? Because in let's see here, Demonic Vessel for Demonology, for a 10 to cast, you get +1 strength, +1 attack, and 1 AP. So 3 things for casting value 10. This gives you 1 thing for casting value 9, and its extra attacks 1. Is that different? +1 modifier to the strength and attack characteristics. This one is extra attacks 1 special rule. We gotta look that up. Page 168. Let's move this more. I'm really hoping that's different. Like maybe you can use it in multiple ranks or something. Extra attacks X. A model with this special rule has a modifier to its attacks characteristics shown in the brackets, blah, blah, blah. If the modifier is determined by the roll of the die. It's the same. It does the same thing. Okay. It gives you +1 attack. If you had Demonology for 1 more to cast, which is easy to get, you get more, but whatever. Okay. That's a little disappointing, but +1 attack is not bad. Shield of Sapphire is an enchantment with the casting value of 9 and a range of 18. Until the end of this turn, the target friendly unit gains a 5 up ward against any wound suffered. Awesome. If this spell is cast, the effects of any other enchantment previously cast on a unit expire. So you can't Fury of Cain a unit and Shield of Sapphire a unit. You can't have both of those. Well, I guess you can Shield of Sapphire first, and then cast Fury of Cain. I guess you would have to. No, you'd have to, because Fury of Cain can be cast in combat, where Shield of Sapphire can't. So you have to do the early start of your turn. Oh no, before a unit charges. I feel like I'm missing something with this Fury of Cain. What was that Demonology one? Okay, the Demonology one is target itself, and the Fury of Cain is target a friendly unit within 12. Okay, you know what? Not upset. Not upset anymore. More options with Fury of Cain than the other one. Okay, I can dig it. Let's move on to High Magic. What are my thoughts here? Damn good. Very defensive spell for magic. Ethereal, 2 spells that are good for moving. Decent damage, a couple of buffs. You know what? I think it's solid lore. Solid lore. Illusion. Glittering Robes is their signature spell. It's an enchantment with a casting value of 8, target itself, until your next start of turn subphase. So, till your next turn. Enemy units suffer -1 to any hit rolls made against the caster in any unit they have joined. This, if this spell is cast, the effects of other enchantments previously cast in the unit immediately expire. Being -1 to hit, aces. Aces. The first spell is Mind Razor. It's a easy to cast magic missile, 7 to cast with a range of 15. The target enemy unit must immediately make a leadership test. If the test is passed, it suffers D3 strength 3 hits with an AP of nothing. If the test is failed, they suffer D3 plus 3 strength 4 hits with the AP of 3. Okay, I like it. We have a Shimmering Dragon. Is a conveyance spell with a casting value of 8 and a range of 12. This spell can only be cast on friendly characters. If the target friendly character is not fleeing and has not already moved during the movement phase, it gains Fly 10 until the end of the turn. Cool. Another one of those Fly 10 character things. Column of Crystal is a magical vortex with a 10 plus to cast and a range of 9. This is a remains in play large blast, 5-inch blast, with the whole wholly within 9 of the caster. While in play, the template does not move and is treated as impassable terrain, which no line of sight can be drawn. Love that spell. That's awesome. Can't walk through it. Can't see through it. Confounding Convocation. It's a hex casting value 9, range 9. It remains in play. While the spell is in play, the target enemy becomes subject to stupidity. You know, I need to refresh myself on stupidity in this edition. I should memorize which page is special rules. There we go. 170-ish is special rules. Watch me forget that. Unless engaged in combat, you know this special rule must make a stupidity test at the start of turn phase. To make a stupidity test, test against your own leadership characteristic. If the test has failed, the unit becomes stupid. If you're stupid, move straight ahead without performing any maneuvers. You cannot march or clear charges. Okay. Very similar to what we've seen in the past. It's only 9-inch range, though. Then number 5 is Spectral Doppelganger. It's an assailant, cast in combat, 9 to cast. A single enemy unit the caster is engaged in combat with suffers 2d6 hits. Resolve using the characteristics and special rules of the caster and any weapon they carry. Okay. Interesting. If you can get some fighty characters that can take illusion, a good magic weapon, that's really good. All right, let's see if we can find that combo going forward. I'm going to look around. Keep your eyes open for a character that can take illusion, and you might want to buy a magic weapon for. Obviously, when I talk about some of the army showcase or army, what am I talking? What are my words I'm looking for? When I'm doing the army. I won't say army book, but like when I'm doing the first impressions of the other armies, I'll keep an eye out for the illusion ones and talk about them. And then finally, we got Miasmic Mirage. It's a hex casting value of 11, a big one, range of 15. Until your next start of turn subphase, the target enemy unit suffers -2 to its movement characteristics to a minimum of 1, cannot march or charge. If the spell's cast, the effects of the other hex previously cast on the target unit immediately expire. I love illusion, I think. Not big on Shimmering Dragon right now. Not huge on the stupidity, because it really much depends on your opponent's leadership, right? But Mind Razor, Column of Crystal, Glittering Robes, Miasmic Mirage, a Spectral Doppelganger. I like all these spells. So far, it feels like I don't care which lore I take. I can randomize a lore and be happy. It's kind of a good thing, right? Necromancy. Dwellers Below is their signature spell. Let's see how this one works. It's an assailant, casting value of 7. Place the small 3-inch blast template so the central hole is directly over the center of the unit the caster is engaged in combat with. Once placed, the template will scatter D3 plus 1. Ooh, it can come back hit your own unit. Any enemy model whose base lies underneath the template's final position risks being hit, as described on page 95 above. Suffering a single strength 3 hit with AP of nothing. Okay, narratively it's kind of cool, but it's not the best assailant we've seen so far. We got Deathly Cabal for number 1 spell. Enchantment, casting value of 10, range of self. Until your next start of turn subphase, the caster and any unit they have joined gain 6 of ward against any wounds suffered that were caused by a non-magical enemy attack. In addition, while the spell is in play, the affected model gains fear. If they already have fear, they gain terror. Okay. You got me there. Fear's good, terror's even better. 6 on board, not interested in. All those things combined, like that. Winning a combat when you have terror modifies your enemy leadership by 1. Just a reminder on that. So that's why I think it's a little exciting, which is a big deal in combat in the old world, because combats can grind on for quite a long time. Unquieted Spirits. Magic Missile, casting value 8 with range of 15. The target enemy unit suffers 3d3 strength 2 hits with no armor saves permitted. Ooh. Ward and regeneration saves can be attempted as normal. It's only strength 2, but Spiritual Vortex is a magical vortex with a casting value of 11, another big one. Range of 12. Remains in play, large blast, 5-inch circle. While in play, the template does not move and is treated as dangerous terrain. Whilst within 8 of the template, enemy units suffer -1 to their leadership characteristic to a minimum of 2. And cannot use their general's inspiring presence special rule. I love this spell. Curse of Years is a hex with a casting value of 10. 15-inch range. Until your next starter turn subphase, the target enemy unit suffers -1 to its movement, weapon skill, and toughness characteristic to a minimum of 1. If the spell is if this spell is cast, the effects of other hex previously cast in the unit immediately expire. I like Curse of Years. -1 movement, awesome. Weapon skill, pretty good. Toughness, awesome. But only have 1 hex on that unit. Dang, that's good. Spectral Steed. It's a conveyance with a casting value of 9+ and a range of 12. Remains in play. This spell can only target friendly characters whose troop type is infantry. While this spell is in play, the target friendly character gains ethereal and fly 10. All right, get your wizard or something where you need it. Help them put these spells where they need to be. And then we got Spirit Leech for the number 6 spell. Until the end of the turn, the target enemy unit suffers -2 modifier to its leadership characteristic, to a minimum of 2. And cannot use General's Inspiring Presence special rule. This spell may target enemy units engaged in combat. Okay, that's so good. I can't tell you how good it is to lower your opponent's leadership when the game requires you to roll above your natural leadership. I should rephrase that. The game requires you to roll above your leadership value to actually break and flee. So you can lose by... A dwarf with leadership 9 can lose combat by 15. So long as he doesn't roll over a 9+, he's just going to fall back. Fall back in good order? Yeah, fall back in good order. You have to roll over your leadership to actually break and flee. So putting -2 on leadership 9 dwarves means they roll over a 7, they're going to run and die. -2 leadership is so good, or powerful. All right, I like Necromancy. I like them all. What's going to be the one I don't like? Is it going to be Waaagh? Yeah, we're there. This is the last one. Waaagh magic. This better not be the one I hate, Games Workshop. Fist of Gork, or Mork, the signature spell. It's an assailment, casting value of 9, combat. Place the large 5-inch blast template so the central hole is directly over the unit you're in combat with. Once placed, the template will scatter D3 + 1. Any model, friend or foe, whose base lies underneath the template's final position risks being hit, and suffers a strength 4 AP 1 hit. So, all right. The other one that scattered onto yourself didn't hurt you. This one does. This is a large blast. You're going to hit orcs with this. You're going to hit your own guys. But it's strength 3 AP 1. I don't know. I actually hated it, but I love it. It's going to hit more of my guys than theirs, but we'll see. Vindictive Glare, magic missile, casting value 8 with a range of 21. Hey! Why is the Waaagh shorter magic missile? The target enemy unit suffers a single strength 7 hit with multiple wounds D3. Okay, that's pretty good. And with no armor saves permitted. Ward and regeneration may be attempted as normal. This spell may target enemy unit engaged in combat. Okay. I don't care if the rest of the spells suck. I love this. I love this. Hand of Gork or Mork. No, Hand of Mork or Gork. I got it backwards. It's a conveyance spell, casting value 7 with a range of 18. This spell can only target friendly characters and may target characters engaged in combat. You may immediately remove the friendly character from the battlefield and place it anywhere within 2d6 of its original location. The other ones had 12. But not within 3 of any mini... Oh, but not within 3 of enemy models. Okay. However, if a double 1 is rolled, the character lands badly and loses a single wound. I guess the character can still move. Doesn't say he can't. Okay, sure. Bad Moon Rising is a hex with a casting value of 10. Range 15. Until the end of this turn, the target enemy unit suffers -D3 to its weapon skill and initiative characteristics to a minimum of 1. It's a little high to cast for that, but I'll use it. Evil Sun Shinin. Enchantment, casting value 9, range of self. Until your next start of turn subphase, Friendly units that are within the caster's command range may re-roll any hit rolls of natural 1 and improve the armor-piercing characteristic of their weapons by 1. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and assume, without checking, Orcs, Wizards are going to have like leadership 7 or 8. But if he's my general, my command range is 12. That's a good spell. Rerolling 1s and improving armor penetration by 1. But it's only your command range, which is going to be your leadership characteristic, or if it's... How do I make my general be a wizard on a behemoth? I wonder if you can still do a... I have to review the orc book still. Spiderweb Shaman on the big spider would have an 18-inch range command. That could be really cool. Okay. Here we go is the next spell. Enchantment, casting value of 9, range of self. Any friendly unit that is within the caster's command range during the declared charges and charge reactions subphase, this turn increases maximum possible charge by 3, and when it makes a charge roll, apply D3 modifier to the result. Do I like that? In this edition, I like that. Foot of Gork or Mork. Magical Vortex, casting value 8, range 15. Oh, okay, so range 15, it's a 5-inch blast, so it's a bigger one with a longer range than average. It's treated as dangerous terrain. The template moves 2d6 in a random direction during every start of turn subphase. Any unit, friend or foe, the moving template touches suffers D3 plus 3, strength 5 hits with AP of 1. This is all too random for Steve. That's why I love it. Okay. Waaagh magic seems very appropriate. Vindictive Glare, being able to throw strength 7 on a monster engaged in combat. That's so good. Evil, a couple of nice buffs. No, my favorite thing is like movement things. There's like movement adjusting things, either your opponent or yours. Not a whole lot of that here. In fact, none of that here. I guess Hand of Mork, take a character out, which I almost never want to do, but whatever. We can move characters around. We'll see if we end up doing that a lot in the future. And then Foot of Gore can have a template. Okay. So we have some things that affect the movement phase, but not as well as other lores. But you know what? I don't hate it. Of these lores, it was 8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. All right, these 8 lores, I am not upset. I am liking this. I think magic will be a fun tool we like to use in the games without, making it unfun for our opponents and dominating the game with a single slan or high elf wizard or whatever. No more of that. I'm going to talk about magic items briefly. We don't have to get too deep into it. A lot of what you expect once I explain this. Like spells, magic items, their effect have been greatly reduced and their point costs have been greatly increased. So, like, I can very much foresee not buying magic items in a game or buying a few here and there. Like the very first one is the Ogre Blade. It is effectively a great weapon. But it has magical attacks, obviously, and multiple wounds D3. And it's not strikes last for 65 points. That's really good. That's a very powerful weapon, but it's 65 points. But it's worth all day long in the context of the old world. The Sword of Battle is a 60-point magic weapon. It is plus 1 strength, AP 1, armor bane, extra attacks 1, and magical. That one, I don't know if I want to spend 60 points on that, but it has its uses. I'll move over to the next page. Like the Sword of Might is 20 points. It's I think it's gonna be the most common one we spend points on. It's plus 1 strength and AP 1, and give you magical attacks. Obviously, it's only 20 points, and it's basically common. You can have multiple of these in your army. There was like a Headsman's Axe. It's 45 points, strength plus 1, AP 1. Killing Blow, magical attacks, but requires 2 hands. So like these are decent, but none of these like is game-breakingly good weapons. Like so, for example, Armor of Destiny. It's a suit of heavy armor that gives you a 4. I think where's it go? It gives you a 4 board save. It's 70 points. And like the last edition of this game, the exact same thing was 50 points. But it was used so often. Now, if you want that 4 board save, you're spending 70 points, 7-0. Glittering Scales is 35-point magic item. It used to be -1 to hit. Now in this edition, the Glittering Scales is a suit of light armor. In addition, once per turn, you may make your opponent re-roll a single hit roll made against the bear. Effect heavily reduced. Enchanting Shield is the magic item we're all aware of. Previously, it's been around for like 4 editions. It's a shield. In addition, the bear gets a 6 ward save against any wounds caused by a non-magical enemy attack for, 10 points. It's common. You have multiples of them. The Dawnstone, I'm going over items that like we've seen in the past. The Dawnstone is 35 points. It's you may reroll armor saves of a natural 1. Talisman Protection is a 5 ward save for 30 points. That's how it was in 8th edition as well. Luckstone is 15 points. And you reroll a single failed armor save. There's a lot of magic items. I'm not going, like, there's too many to go over. The War Banner is here for 25 points, +1 combat res. I can see myself buying that often. But enchanted items, the Ruby Ring of Ruin. 30 points, you gain the Fireball spell, casting power level of 2. So basically you roll the dice, add 2 to the power level. Add 2 to the roll. I think the Ruby Ring of Ruin will be an item we see quite often on the table. I'll talk about the Dispel Scroll for the Arcane item. It's a 20-point item. It's common, so you have like multiples of them. Single use. A wizard may use the scroll when attempting a wizardly dispel. If they do so, roll an extra d6 when making the dispel and discard the lowest result. However, if a double 1 is rolled on any of the 2 of the dice rolled, the wizard is outclassed in the art. So, I don't know if we'll see this all the time anymore. Lore Familiar, I think we'll see quite often. It's an arcane item, it's 30 points. The owner of the Lore Familiar does not randomly generate their spells. Instead, they may choose which spells they know of their chosen lore, including the lore's signature spell. I think we're going to see that like all the time. So expect to see a lot of Lore Familiars, a lot of Ruby Rings of Ruin. That's spells and basically magic items in the old world. Very happy with what I'm seeing. There's not a single thing I'm like, oh, let's wait and see about that, I guess. Well, I guess there's a few of that, but I mean, nothing that I have actual concern over. I like, after playing one game, I like how Magic is working out quite a bit. I like that I have to play Warhammer instead of Magic Hammer in this edition, which has been fantastic, but I still want to bring Wizards, which is perfect. I think they kind of nailed it. In previous editions, we've seen spells just completely nuke enemy units off the table, shut down armies completely. But it feels closer to the days of 7th edition where magic was an important tool that swung combat and was part of the tactic, part of your overall strategy, not your entire strategy. So yeah, all good, awesome. I'm super excited for this. Stay tuned for plenty more of these videos. I got like 18 of them. Well, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. There are plenty more just like it ready for you to watch right now. All the names you see flying by right now are the Rock Jocks and Peak supporters, our channel members that do help support the channel a little bit more than the average member. Think about joining the channel. It does help us keep making these videos.